Hello and welcome to Tank and AFV News. My name's Tom and today we are doing a book review. This one is Combat History of Sturmpanzer-Abteilung 217 from the PanzerWrecks series, and it is by Timm, Haasler, and Simon Vosters with artwork by Philip Rodna. Should be a familiar name. He appears in quite a few different books. Very good art. And this is, as we can see, it's a hardcover, a fairly substantial one, so more in line with some of the other recent hardcover titles that have come from PanzerWrecks, as opposed to some of the soft covers that they've done in the past and still continue to do. So, very substantial book on a fairly narrow topic. The Sturmpanzer, this is on one particular battalion, and it primarily looks at the Sturmpanzer 4 because that's the vehicle that was primarily in service with this battalion, or Abteilung is the German word for that, for battalion. So before we get into the book, just a little quick information about the Sturmpanzer 4. One thing you will not find in this book is the term Brummbär, which is German for, I think, grumbling bear. Some sources say grizzly bear. And that is something that I think kind of Allied intelligence thought was its name during the war, but I don't know if the Germans ever actually called that. So even though it's used a lot in some older books, I haven't. Some of the newer sources are saying that the Germans didn't actually use it. If they had a nickname for this vehicle, it was the Stupa, which is sort of an abbreviation of the STU from Sturm and then just PA from Panzer, so Stupa. So I have here, see it, my little 172 scale model of a Sturmpanzer. Now, during the war, the Germans tried mounting this short-barreled 15 centimeter gun on lots of different vehicles. That was one of their standard heavy infantry gun calibers, and everything from just taking the entire gun, carriage included, and throwing it on top of a Panzer I. There was also a handful of Panzer II hulls that were converted to carry it, and then Panzer IIIs, and then sort of the final attempt. I think even there were some based on the 38T, but the sort of the final iteration that appeared in 1943 was this version, which was based on a Panzer IV hull, obviously. So if we take our handy Panzer IV here and we compare them, you can see, get it in the camera, the hulls are exactly the same. It's just the superstructure is different. And this is a very substantial superstructure, 100 millimeter frontal armor. You got that. It's a very short barreled gun, but it's 15 centimeters, so very large caliber gun. So a lot of extra weight. So just for comparison's sake, if we take the Jagdpanzer 4, just to compare, you can see the height difference. So this is a very big superstructure that's put on there, and it was quite a bit of extra weight, really more weight than this chassis was intended to carry. So these vehicles were not known for their reliability. The first usage was at the Battle of Kursk, not the battalion that's covered in this book. Abteilung 217 was only pretty much in the west, but at Kursk, these made their first appearance, and it's interesting. There's really not any clear Allied equivalent to this vehicle. Probably the closest would be, also appearing at Kursk, was the Su-152. This is an ISU-152 model, but close enough. Oh, this is a much more substantial vehicle. The gun's similar caliber, but much longer. It's based on a heavy tank hull. It's just, frankly, a better vehicle in a lot of regards, but it's about the closest equivalent. The Western Allies really didn't have anything like this. They didn't really buy into the idea of a huge caliber gun on a well-mounted casemate like that. That aside, and they produced, I think maybe it was like 300 of these during the war, so a fair amount by German standards, not a fair amount by Allied standards. So that's a little background information on the Sturmpanzer 4. So let's look at this book, because this is really a really rather attractive book. So let's get into it. It's got the PanzerWreck, get it in there, bookmark. It's always nice. Little QR code there if you just want to zap it into your phone to get more information. And as you can see, 8 chapters plus an appendix. And let's just flip through here so you get an idea of what you're getting, because there's quite a bit here. So Chapter 1, activation of the unit. And as you might expect with the PanzerWreck book, there's a lot of photos, although this one's got quite a bit more text than usual in one of these type books. A lot of these PanzerWreck volumes are literally just photo books. This one's sort of a combination with quite a bit of text. As you can see, they're mostly either half or full page photos, so you get plenty of detail. The reproductions, very good, which again you would expect from PanzerWrecks. Chapter 2 is the battalion in Normandy. So you can see it's got quite a bit of description. Here's one of the some of the artwork by, I don't know if it's Rodna or Rodna, exactly how you say it. And you can see there's the source photo, I assume. And quite a few pictures. And, I've never made a study of looking at tons of pictures of Sturmpanzer 4s, but most of these were not familiar to me. And so here we can see maps of how they were used. Chapter 3, withdrawal from Normandy. Engagement in Aachen. And you can see more photos. Certainly lots of good reference photos if somebody wanted to build a model of this vehicle. Let's flip through here a little bit. Some more text, another illustration. More maps. So obviously too many pages to go one by one through the whole thing. But you can see quite a bit of information aside from just pictures. Here's some of the personalities of the unit in case. Some of the photos have a QR code, so you can scan it in. I assume that will then show you the location. Usually in these books, when they have that QR code, it's linked to like a Google Maps type thing, and it'll show you this current location in case you're wondering where the photo was taken. It's kind of fun in case you're ever touring those areas. More maps and photos. Alright, Chapter 4, Rest and Refitting. So this is in fall of 44 after the Normandy campaign, and they've been pulled back and the unit rebuilds. So you can see, got charts with statistics, plenty more pictures, some of the personality involved, pictures of training and vehicles. Chapter 5, Between Aachen and the Ardennes. And we'll skip ahead as you expect. Maps, details of sort of overhead aerial shots of the locations, some of the vehicles. So anyway, so you can get a sense of quite a bit. Now here's a Stug 3. These are part of a different unit. Trying to keep my head out of the shadows there. More pictures of different vehicles in the battle. So there's some more. Then Chapter 6 here is the Ardennes Offensive, of course, Battle of the Bulge. Flip through a little quicker here. See different charts with strengths and whatnot. Again, apologize for the shadows. Chapter 7, Last Traces of Sturmpanzer-Abteilung 217. So, only limited information can be found regarding further engagements following the end of the Ardennes campaign. So that's why I sort of says Last Traces, because there's sort of less information to work with. Some more pictures, text. Some of the personal ID papers of some of the soldiers. And then Chapter 8 here gets into just general information about Sturmpanzer 4, the vehicle itself, which is probably about as detailed as you're going to find. Like I said, nobody's really, that I know of, written a book exclusively on this vehicle, or if they have, it's not one I've run across, or that was, like there's no new Vanguard title on this vehicle. And then just interior shots. So again, if somebody's doing a really detailed model, these would probably be very valuable, or just as generally interested in the layout of the vehicle and how they stowed, like I said, ammunition there. Here's production pictures. And then pictures of a current vehicle from, this is the Saumur in France vehicle. So you can see the interior there. And some other ones. Definitely some that are in better shape than others. And then Chapter 9 is appendix. So we get readiness reports, assignments, and then bibliography here is pretty substantial list, as you can see, and notes for each chapter. So certainly quite a bit of research went into this. And just sort of to finish up here, we'll flip through, and then the index, of course, at the end, as you would expect. So that is Combat History of Sturmpanzer-Abteilung 217. Obviously, this is a bit of a niche topic. Most individual Abteilungs or battalions don't get a book of this size and depth documenting their history, so that's pretty unusual and pretty impressive. Particularly of a vehicle that doesn't generally get a lot of attention. Certainly, you know, one that's overshadowed by some of the other late war vehicles, you know, the big cats, or some of the Jagdpanzers and whatnot that are a little, maybe a little sexier in terms of, you know, tank-on-tank warfare. You know, Sturmpanzer, this isn't something that you're going to find running around in World of Tanks, probably, or some of the video games. But an interesting vehicle nonetheless, and this is just a really attractive product overall. So I would like to thank the fine folks at PanzerWrecks that sent me this copy. This book has been out for, I think, a couple months now. It's sort of taken me a little while to do this review, but again, thanks to them, and thank you for watching this. I hope you found it useful and informative, and we will catch you on the next one.